They're going to be tuned in tonight. They're going to be tuned in to see the new town clerk.
I doubt it.
Which I'd like to welcome. I'd like to welcome Simon. It's my first meeting with Simon. So, nice. Okay. Evacuation procedures are door behind me, and when we create the door over, we'll take you out of the building, if need be. Hopefully not. There is no fire alarm test tonight, so if it does go off, then we need to evacuate. Apologies for absence. I've got Sue Marston. Can you give her apologies?
And also,
Dan Bullman, Councillor Bullman.
Councillor Bullman. Okay.
and Councillor Monks, we a little bit later said, yeah.
Declaration of interest, which is on the agenda tonight.
Councillor Monk has given a personal interest in one of the grants. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one. You mentioned it today. Anything else? Okay, it's got exclusion of the press and public, but we'll keep them here at the moment because.
Yeah, there's items 16 and 17 are for exclusion of the press and public. So we just need a vote to say that you agree to have both those in private session.
All in favour? Anyone against, councillors? No. Okay, cheers for that. Public question time. Any members of the public want to ask any questions? Any councillors got any questions from any members of the public that have been passed on to them, which happens occasionally? So I'm going to take this off. Minutes of the full council finance, Tuesday, October the 8th, page 1. Just for accuracy, first of all. Oh, Alex.
Item 0655, apologies if I did miss it. Did the town clerk circulate the answers to the accounting queries raised?
I think she might have done that. Chair.
You should, yeah, but as I said, apologies if I have just managed to miss it.
Anything else, anyone? There? Can I have someone to say propose? As right, so I've got Dan as proposer, second is Julie. Those in favour say it's all accurate. Any against? Abstentions? We're on holiday. Matters of arising from the minutes, I think we've just done that as well. Sweet. Okay, we now come on to the grants. What we're going to do is going to give each of you a chance to give like 5 minutes to say what you want to say, answer any questions from councillors. What we'll do at the end of it, when you've all put your grants through, we'll have to, as per usual, to leave the room. Councillors will discuss. They will then vote on financial decision. We'll then call you back in one by one and give you the answers. Okay. Right, the first one is Bristol Jiu-Jitsu. Anyone from them? Yes. Okay. Do you want to give a presentation?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lewis Barnes. I'm representing the Bristol Jiu-Jitsu Club, which are actually training as we speak in Shieldborough Primary School, which is why one of the instructors can be here, so essentially apologies. Bristol Jiu-Jitsu Club has been running in Bristol for about 35 years now, and they moved into Filton during the pandemic from St. Worker. We host 2 adult classes and 1 children's class each week, as well as offering private tuition and running seminars, including for women's self-defense and personal security. The club itself is part of a non-profit organisation, as part of a wider organisation in the UK and internationally, which is the Jiu-Jitsu Foundation. As it stands with the club having run for as long as it has, the primary purpose of the grant that we put in today is to try and replace our mats. So as Jiu-Jitsu is predominantly a throwing martial art, very similar to judo, it's actually the precursor to judo. A lot of the work we do involves people being thrown, and over time the mats we've got, which are about 20 years old, started to degrade to the point where on our last kind of inspection with the parent organisation, they recommended we replace them. Unfortunately, the mats as professional equipment are quite expensive, so the recent budget we did looks like it will cost about £5,500 for us to replace all the mats for the club. We need about 42 of them, plus a little surplus for wear and tear. The club do have some funding from members and also from our accounts to cover some of that, but when we allow for the extra equipment we hope to be able to get to help us expand the club and reach new members, get more people active, we wanted to raise the application to try and get assistance from yourself. The martial art we study, while it is traditional, also introduces an element of modern self-defense. So in that, we also do a lot of knife defense and also what we refer to as empty hand defense work, like you can see from maybe boxing. And that requires additional equipment as well in terms of boxing gloves, focus pads, just to keep everyone safe. Once we allow for that, we have the children's class and the adults class, of course, the amount of equipment very quickly starts to increase as well. So I have provided a full breakdown in the application based on preliminary results from different suppliers. And as I've also pointed out in there, I am in conversation with some of those suppliers to get trade discounts and also bulk purchasing discounts, just to try and reduce the cost of that even further, which should hopefully bring us somewhere in the region of about £7,500. Ideally, any less than that is a bonus for everyone. In terms of filling in the application, you did ask about whether it was just for Filton citizens or wider. Well, we do cater predominantly to Filton, especially for the children's class, which looks mainly at children at primary school and also the neighbouring primary schools. We are welcome to everyone. So we have a number of people from the University of West England and the University of Bristol come and train with us in the adults classes. I myself actually lived in Filton when I was at UE and kind of stayed in the area to keep training with the club. And I'm not the only one to have done so. So we do offer lots of people, it's very welcoming in that way, but we are a hub here. So the children in particular in the Filton area get a huge amount of benefit having local instruction without having to travel into the city centre, for example, after school, which is a bit of a nuisance. The other thing I really wanted to highlight is that in our kids class, we have a number of children who are either special educational need, ADHD and so forth. And also we have special dispensation for parents or adults who maybe are on lower income or unemployed, to be able to offer them heavily reduced costs so that their children can still participate, or the adults themselves can still participate in a social and active environment, even without having to worry about financial implications. But as a not-for-profit, our costs are very low for the club anyway. Classes for 2 hours are £7, adults reduced to £3 for students and those in financial hardship. And the children's classes are £5, reduced to £3 as well.
Okay, thank you. Questions from councillors? John?
Yeah, just purely out of interest, why did you move from St Werburgh's to Filton?
So they moved during the pandemic, I believe, because the original facility they were using was being closed down during kind of financial hardship. The facility itself was having.
So there's no plan to go back?
No. The school was chosen because one of the lead instructors, Richard, his children both are at that school, so they chose that because they have a good relationship with the head teacher.
Alex?
New obviously you're based in Filton, absolutely great. It is open to people outside of Filton, but do you know how many rough numbers or people inside Filton, outside sort of?
Yes.
Percentages, I think.
So I asked about this while I was filling out the application. I believe for the children's class there are currently 16 that are within the Filton area. And I think for the adults class, while it's slightly less, it was more like the 11 or 12 number. And their classes typically range between about 15 and 25 people, bearing in mind different times of the year and students coming and going.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the next one. So next one is Filton Concert Brass.
Good evening, thanks for inviting us tonight. My name's Andrew, I'm the treasurer of Filton Brass, and Nathan, our chairperson. He's probably one of the most recent members of the band to join.
So I joined in May, moved down from Leeds, from the north of England, where brass banding is generally a lot wider than down in the south of England.
I'm the longest serving member of the band, I think the second oldest at the moment. I've been there 14 or 15 years. So I'm afraid I don't recognise any of you, so I'm not sure how long you've been councillors, but this is my third appearance now. I'm on a sort of 50-50 role at the moment, so hopefully we improve on that. We were turned down back in June 2023. I've gone back and had a look at the minutes actually, and the reason was needing to be inclusive of Filton residents. Discussing that around the band, we felt that maybe you had a point, and some people even seriously discussed, well, let's not call ourselves Filton anymore, let's change the name to somewhere else. But we did agree that we will stick with the Filton name, and we have a heritage going back 50 years with Filton. So we sought to address some of the issues that were raised at the time. I can remember 4 comments coming out of the meeting. The first one was, you don't rehearse in Filton. So at the time we were rehearsing at Eastern Salvation Army. As of September, we moved to St Andrews, just up the road. That's an additional cost to the band of about £700. We've already experienced some problems with storage. The venue's not available on the first and last Wednesday of the month, so we have to take timpani and stands and stuff down to the community centre. So we've had discussions with them, so we're actually moving into the community centre in January. And that's going to cost us an extra £1,300. So again, it's putting more strain on the already sort of stretched finances of the band. The second comment was, you don't do any concerts in Filton. So that was in June 2023, and we actually played at Filton Festival in 2023, and that was free of charge because you'd given us a grant the previous year. December last year, we played at Aerospace Bristol. I'm not quite sure if that's actually in Filton. The boundary is a bit unclear. Is it? You're not sure either. And then again, June this year, we played at the festival. We got really good feedback from the organisers and the public. And our conductor at the time got a shout out, we're looking for somewhere to move to in Filton. And the deputy chair from the community centre grabbed us and showed us around. So we've already got our foot in the door then. December, well, next month, we're doing a Carols by Candlelight concert at St Andrews. And I've got some flyers here for you to take later. You're all welcome to come along to that one. And we're going to be doing at least 3 carolling sessions at Filton Abbeywood, Asda at Abbeywood, which again I think is in Filton. So that's directly in Filton. Surrounding areas, we've done the Snowman at Stoke Gifford. A couple of years ago, we're doing it again in December. So that's a live screening of the Snowman animation and the band playing the music. So again, in the area, we've got Christmas concert at the Retirement Village in Stoke Gifford. We've just done a Remembrance concert in Chipping Sodbury, so it's all South Gloucester. We did the Wrong Trousers, which again was the animation. We played along to that. D-Day 80th anniversary at Trinity School, Lockleaf, just down the road, and there's a few others. And we're always wearing the Filton name, and we've got on Thursday this week we're playing Cabot Circus for the launch of the Wallace and Gromit cracking time out of Christmas cracker or something. And so there's going to be quite a lot of publicity about that, and hopefully we'll get in the press. Chipping Sodbury Victorian Day, and the Wallace and Gromit. So that's basically what we're doing in the area and in Filton specifically. The third point was you don't do anything to encourage youth. So we do actually have one 14-year-old member now, so we're working on it. But last night we had the first of a monthly planned open rehearsal. So we put out notices to the likes of Bristol University and UE. I think it's been in the Filton Voice as well. So we're encouraging people to come along to that. We'll start in the new year pushing it out to local schools as well. So we had 2 under 16s come last night. They both thoroughly enjoyed it, and they can come again next month. and bring a friend as well. We had a successful joint concert with the Lines for Brass Youth Band. They're not based locally, but we're hoping to invite them to do another joint concert in Filton itself. At our Deep Day concert in Lockleys, we featured the Trinity School String Quartet, and we've got 2 members of the band going to be attending Brass Band England safeguarding training. And the last thing on here was none of the band live in Filton. That's very difficult to actually address. We have had people move to Stoke Gifford, so that's the closest we've got at the moment. But one of them does work in Filton, and we had somebody on work experience last year. So that's the reasons that you objected to last time. So going on to the actual grant itself.
I'll leave you a minute, I'm afraid. 'cause
That's
we're
okay,
running
yeah,
out of time.
so basically, we need a set of commutes for the band. Those of you that were here last time, I actually demonstrated them with my cornet. I thought, just to make it a bit quicker tonight, that's the smallest one for a soprano cornet. That's not even a full-size B-flat bass one. They're about so tall. This is a practice one, so you can sit in the cupboard at home. So we don't have a full set of mutes. A lot of the contests we play at now require such a thing. And we begged, borrowed, not steal, but we quite often get these from City of Bristol Band, at the end of these, if you like. But they've actually been promoted to the same section as us now, so we will be competing against each other. So the ability to borrow from them will have disappeared.
Okay.
So I think that's basically it from my side. Okay.
Right,
Any questions?
any questions from councillors? Julie?
Hi, I'm really pleased to see that you're rehearsing and performing in Filton now. That's fantastic. I can see from the thing, from your information, that you're a concert band, so you're performing.
Yeah.
The young people that you said that came along, were they existing players?
No.
So this is bringing in people who might be interested
indeed.
and teaching them how to play.
Not so much teaching, it was just a sit-in to experience the band.
Right.
So it would be just once a month. We do have plans for possibly looking at charitable status in the next couple of years. And with that, we might then look at starting a youth band as well, a training band.
Yeah.
We do also have the we call ourselves F1, the contesting band. There's also F2, the community band. They actually practice in Kingswood, but they could be a feeder band and sort of take players of sort of lesser ability and bring them on.
And just to answer some background queries on that, Filton, if they were a football club, would be basically Premier League, so we're the highest section of brass band competition in the country, and the band have gone on to the Royal Albert Hall to contest against some of the best bands in the world a few years ago, so it's a very, let's say, high-end brass band that
So
we're in.
it wouldn't be expected that people would join at the very.
No, and that's why we're trying to do the open rehearsals, because yes, I think James and Fred found it very challenging, but that was the intent with getting youth in, is to really open their eyes to seeing what professional players can do in a competition band setting.
And are there any plans for the community band to maybe rehearse in Filton or sort of open it up to people in the Filton area?
We tend to sort of manage ourselves, but I think there's always an aspiration for us all to get back together in Filton. We don't really have a steering committee at the moment, but again, that's something that, as a new chairperson, we're looking to put in place.
Okay. And the final question, are you applying for funds from any other local authorities?
No. Having said that, we've got a £250 grant from the State of Gloucester. One of the members' grants, I can't even remember what it's for. They approached us and said, we want to give you £250. But apart from that, no.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I think one of the questions you got asked last time, and I'll ask it again. Will any of the, I know what you're just about to think there. If people come along and they don't have an instrument, do you have any instruments that they can use?
We have a limited supply.
Because last time the answer was no.
Yeah, and I know that we've got about 6 in storage, and we're just getting one of the sort of bigger instruments repaired, so that will be available as well. But it's the sort of thing that, you know, maybe in 6 months' time, we come back to, well, we need a tenner home for somebody that's joining, and we don't have our own.
That was the other question I was going to ask. Is any of this money going to go towards that?
Well, it wasn't intended to, it's intended for the list actually on the.
Thank you. Any other questions from any of the councillors? Oh, John.
Yeah, just wanting to understand, so F1 is your group, which I take it is more of a professional, if you're top tier, you're professional
We
level.
don't get paid.
No, but professional level
Yes.
musicians. And then the community group is separate, you're not,
It is a separate band under the same banner head in terms of they also carry the Filton name, and we do share some resources. From a grouping standpoint, we're not charitable status yet, but when we go for that, we do envisage that we'll get a group of companies. So both bands will become charitable status with most likely an overarching group to fall under.
and just, do you have separate accounts, or
Yes,
is it? Right, okay.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We go to our final, third one, North Bristol Colour Guard. Culture. Please.
Hello, hi, my name is Bridget Coulter, and I run North Bristol Independent Colour Guard. I did come to speak to you all about 6 months ago, I think it was, and I think I brought Ashley with me then. We're back again, asking for another grant. Let me just explain for anybody who doesn't know. Colour Guard is an American-style dance activity for children and young people. And we currently teach in this area. Most of these guys, like the jiu-jitsu, are from Shield Road School. So these guys are all pupils at Shield Road, and we are based there quite heavily. Most of our children come from Shield Road or the surrounding area, and we use Shield Road for a lot of our rehearsals, and we have a very good relationship with them, same as you do. We ran in the summer, we ran a taster day, an activities day for anyone who wanted to try Colour Guard during their sort of activities week at the end of term. So we've got a very close relationship with the school, and most of the children are linked to the school in some way. Since the last time I came to speak to you, and you very kindly gave us a grant, the Colour Guard has just grown enormously. When I came 6 months ago, we had one group, which catered to children between the ages of 6 and 12. We now have 3 groups, ranging from 5 right the way up to 18. So we've got lots and lots of new children who come in. Fareed, Asha and Michaela are all members of the Colour Guard. Fareed is in the youngest group, which is called Kids Class. Asha and Michaela are in the middle group, which is called Cadets. And then we have an older group for teenagers, which is called Juniors. The reason we're asking for money is because, as I said to you last time, the main problem that we face, the main challenge that we face is the cost of rehearsal venues. We fundraise a lot, and over the last year we've fundraised quite a lot of money, over £1,000 in terms of sponsorships and various other activities that the children have helped with. We also charge subs, and all the children have to pay a subscription to be in the Guard and to take part. Unfortunately, that just about covers the cost of things like the equipment that they use, their costumes, registration fees for competitions, and so on. What becomes a real issue for us is paying for halls and venues where we can practice. And obviously, having gone from one group to 3 groups, we're now even more in need of practice venues. As well as Shield Road, we do use some other venues. We've used the Face Community Centre here, but both of those places are really quite small. And when we're rehearsing for a competition, we have to find either a school or a sports hall that's big enough to allow the children to do their routine and to have a ceiling that's high enough for them to throw flags and things around. At the moment, we are looking at a yearly cost, an annual cost of about £4,000, which will just about cover the cost of our rehearsals. And that's why we come to ask for a grant again, so that we can allow all 3 groups to go into competition next year. So competitions take place from January to March, and they're all over the country. The furthest one that we're going to this year is in Manchester, and then they culminate in a big finals competition in Worcester, just around Easter time, where these guys will do their competition routines for the last time, and that would be the national championships. So I think they were very keen to come tonight, and they just wanted to tell you a little bit about why they like Colour Guard and why they're hoping that you might look favourably on us. Who wants to go first? Asha? Okay.
I like Colour Guard because it's really nice. You get, when you go to the competitions, you get to meet other friends. So it's like basically socialising with each other. But also, it's not always about winning or getting first place. You will try your best, obviously, but it's also about enjoying yourselves and taking part. So even though there's some challenges I'm facing in Colour Guard, but I do love Colour Guard.
Good. McKenna?
Ever since I joined Colour Guard, the things that I thought was hard, it turned out to be easy. And I practiced a lot, and that made me good at it. And for example, like the things I thought was hard was a flag toss and using a saber. But now I can easily do that.
Well done. You got anything to say? Well,
I want to get about 4,000 because I want to ways for us to get more money for the kids to do more practice.
practice so you can get good.
Yeah.
Oh. You could get even better, right? Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Anything else? No. So you guys can put down there, please. So that's it really. As well as the number of children has gone up. Also, we've had a lot of inquiries from people who want to come and volunteer to help us, and our staff has gone up from 3 people who were teaching last year. We've now got 6 people who all teach voluntarily. There's no payment at all. One of them is coming from Bath, one of them is coming from Gloucester, and it's all because they've heard about us and what's going on here in Filton, and they want to be part of helping the kids to develop. So that's it.
Any questions, councillors? Julie?
Hiya.
Yeah, hi Julie.
Just a couple of questions. Just you mentioned in your submission there that some of the families are from disadvantaged, or some of the members are from disadvantaged families. Do you offer any sort of reduced?
Yeah, so it's very much a sort of a bespoke, tailored package for each family. So we've got some families who've got 3 siblings in various groups. We've got some where there's just one, and we work it out to suit that family, and we have a negotiation what they're able to afford. And you know, we make sure we wouldn't turn anybody away is the main thing, and we will find a way. We do a lot on Saturday morning. There are a lot of adults driving around Filton, picking people up who haven't got access to get their kids to the rehearsals, and even going to competitions. So it's very much a sort of community where we all try to help each other, and that goes for, you know, the financial input as well from these.
Yeah, but again, other sort of financial stress or sort of calls on any money managed to. I'm just thinking that obviously then puts further pressure on anything you've managed to fund.
Well, that's it, yes, yeah, and it is a balance, because obviously, you know, you have to be fair to everybody, and you don't want people to think that somebody's getting, you know, but it's very much a kind of confidential agreement between ourselves and the family involved as to how much they can afford to pay.
Only other thing was, you mentioned your instructors are volunteers. Do you have to incur costs with DBS checking and things like that?
They're all DBS, they have, in order to be registered to take part in competitions, all of our staff have to be DBS checked, they have to attend safeguarding training, they have to attend diversity training, and voluntarily, as an organisation, we have a weekly meeting to talk about any additional needs that our children have and how best to meet them in our rehearsal times.
And is the training something the volunteers fund themselves, or is that another?
Sorry, is what?
Is the training that they have to do and the DBS checks, is that something?
No,
they
that's
fund themselves?
provided by our umbrella organisation, the competition organisation, so we don't have to pay for that. We do have to pay for our DBS check, so.
Thank you.
Alex?
Great news to hear that you've expanded so many people. Can you let us know what that is, what number of people changes or children changes?
Yes, so last year we had the one group and we had 14 people. We've now got 27 people, and as I say, they're more diverse in age ranges. So we've got younger ones and we've got older ones as well, who would not be seen dead here tonight. So, but our eldest is 18.
John?
It's really just a quick yes or no question, and then a second. Can you cater to SEND children? I don't know much about special educational needs. Can you cater them? Do you have?
We have children with various learning disabilities. We've actually got a couple of children with physical disabilities, mild physical disabilities, and we work out how we can best accommodate them in our routines. You know, they may not have such a big part or whatever, but we know that we don't say no to anyone.
Brilliant. And
Not
then
even him.
and then my final question, just looking at your application, you've also applied to South Gloucestershire, which is great.
Yeah.
So playing devil's advocate, if we said no or they said no, do you have a plan, or does that leave you with a big debt that you can't fill?
No, we have a plan, but it would involve an awful lot more fundraising, which puts pressure on our time and then takes away time from our rehearsals. So we spent all day Saturday teaching the 3 different groups. If we were backpacking or whatever, we wouldn't have that time to rehearse. So we could fund it, but it wouldn't be ideal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all three. Gaston? Yeah, I was going to call you first anyway. Yeah. Okay, if we ask the 3 groups to step outside, we will try and get through this very, very quickly, as I know some people need to go home. Thank you.
Thank you.
What we're going to do is do the colour code first. Okay. Cheer, Alan, and we're going to do the colour code first, because they've got to get away. But we'll do it as quickly as possible. I should do it in any orders, but we'll do that later. Okay. Yeah, before we go into it, someone's going to make a quick thing about the budget.
Yeah, on your budget line, your pre-budget, you've got a remaining amount of 8,800 left, and the grants of award at full come to about 9,500. However, your overall grant budget is something like 50,000 underspent at the moment, but of course you've still got a little way to go to the end of the financial year. So you've got enough within the overall grant, so we can move things around, but just to make you aware that that item may be overspent if you went for the full amount. But we can offset it against something else, so to make that clear to you.
Okay, we're going to go to the colour guard first. Comments, councillors? Tom, and then Alex.
Maybe people should make comments first, but I was going to propose that we gave money to the colour guard.
Okay. John, I'll go Alex next.
I was going to propose the same thing.
The
So
same
I'll
thing?
second.
John?
I was going to propose something different, which thankfully Simon has answered the question I have. I kind of feel like £1,000 is a very low amount for all they're doing, and I wonder if we can actually give them the £2,000.
So you guys?
They're
Are we only allowed to give them what they ask for?
No, this isn't Dragon's Den. If we can
Yes,
give
it's
them,
not Dragon's Den, yeah.
they've got a deficit. They're relying on South Gloucestershire grant. South Gloucestershire is stretched, and we've said we're going to try and, fill that. We could give them the 2,000. If they get another 1,000, then they're quids
They've got a
in.
nice-
But they're ticking a lot of boxes for me, like with a leg.
You'll be joining them next year.
I think I'm too old, but
Alex next, then Julie after that. I'm sorry, John. Go on.
Yeah.
You can continue, John.
I am.
All right. Alex?
Yeah, I generally just big supporter of them. I do think we should give them their funds. I think it's a very dangerous precedent to set the council changing the amount of grant funds it's giving away. They have asked for a set amount. I think we should decide whether we award them the full amount or a part of that, or we just want the full amount, but I don't think we should be going above, because then there's always the question, what are we setting at? How have we made that decision? How have we justified that decision? And I personally think it gets into a difficult situation, and I would propose we go.
Julie?
Yeah, I was going to say, I also would support funding them. I think if they do run into difficulties with South Gloucestershire, then they do have another chance at asking for a grant in the new year, don't they?
I'm now going to take legal advice from Simon.
Well, pretty much what Councillor Malloy said, really. I mean, you can, the grant is the grant, really. They've applied, and it will get you into problems, as Councillor Doyle says. So what you could do is just to suggest to them that if their other grant if their other grant or application doesn't work, you'll be open, subject to whatever's left in your grants budget, to considering an emergency grant. So, because they will still have to justify what they want to spend it on, which they haven't really laid out, other than say they've got to apply for South Gloucestershire. So you want to qualify that, so then if you're in another organisation who wants to do the same thing, totally legitimate, they would have to do the same. Okay. So it's just not money being spent. So you may want to just do that, and I could write a nice note if that's what you decide to them tomorrow morning, and just say, this is what you go ordered, but if you do blah, 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 and we can do it that way if you like.
Basically, that's my question. Okay, I mean, we just say to them, which I think we did last time.
Yeah.
We actually told them to come back again in the foreseeable future.
So we happy with that? So I'll go back now to the proposal and seconder, and Tom proposed, Alex second. Can we show hands on that? Yeah. Okay, it's going to be quite quick, I think, to be honest. Right. Film and brass band. Got any comments that anybody wants to make before we go to nominations? I got John, I got Dan.
Yeah. I am concerned they're not a community group. I believe that Filton Brass F2 is a community group, but if they're not running their accounts the same, and looking through their various things, they're clearly charging significant amounts to perform, and also not doing anything in the community, because that's the community group that does that.
Yeah.
Then I think we need to look at them not as a community group, but as a business.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, just an observation on my part. They do seem to have gone away, taken our feedback on board. Because I am more inclined to sort of agree with them this time, whereas last time I did agree with the reasons for rejecting them. Just an observation, they do seem to have gone away and put some effort in. That's what I was going to say.
Anyone else? Alan?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Alex. Basically.
Sorry, Alan and Alex. Sorry.
Question maybe for Simon, I guess. If we only give them half of their grant and tell them that they need to come back, say in 6 months' time or 4 months' time, and demonstrate that they've actually invested that and shown further progress, then we'll give them the remainder potentially.
Well, I think just on that, Chair, is that it would have to be a separate grant application. So you would just say we've awarded them half now, for example, and then just, you know, we just want to say again, when I formalise it, you're more than welcome to come back in the new year with further applications if you so wish, which they may or may not do.
Alex and Tom, sorry, Tom.
I wanted to echo Dan's comments. I do think that they have made more efforts in the area. They're partially based in the area. They are doing open outreach now more. So while I do still have concerns because they're limited impact with Filton residents, they do seem to be doing more outreach in the area, and hopefully if they move towards charity status youth that could be very positive for the area. So I would be in favour of at least a partial award.
Tom?
I am pleased with the progress they've made since we last turned down their grant. You can't make people play brass instruments just because they live in Filton. You could try, but probably be very good if you made them do it. So they now practice in the area. They've chosen to maintain the name Filton Concert Brass. They could have just changed their name and gone somewhere wealthier to get a grant, a different part of the city. So we've got a group here, and this is the point I made several years ago when they first came. Not first came while I was on the council. We've got a group here that's representing our area at national level competitions across the country and at the Albert Hall. If they're now doing more outreach, they came to Filton Festival, they've been twice now. They've done work with the Filtones. They are doing some outreach. It'd be good to see them do more with schools, but I know our own attempts to get things into the schools through the walking scheme haven't been taken up. So I don't think it's easy to get into schools nowadays. I would support giving them the full grant with the caveat, well, it's not a caveat, is it? With the rider that we would expect them to continue along this path if they come back. Encourage.
John?
Yes, the only thing, I'd want to be clear, I'm not against the money, I'm just trying to be critical. The only comment I would make with regards to giving them the full amount of the grant is that we have one group that have fundraised a massive amount of money, and then this group who are arguably more disposable income, potentially because they're adults, not children, have fundraised £76. And I just wonder if perhaps we could give them a partial grant and encourage them to do some fundraising.
Okay. Any other comments before we go to the vote? Because I will be going to vote very shortly. Tom, then Alex.
I mean, I'd make the assumption from that though, looking at those accounts, that carolling is fundraising would be their primary form. I'm assuming that's going out and singing carols and people popping money in pots. That's how I'd interpret carolling. That's when you go and knock on someone's door, traditionally, and they give you money. It's an odd way to break up their accounts, but...
Alex?
I was going to say exactly the same.
Julie?
Yeah, I would say perhaps not offer them the full grant, but definitely partial grant and encourage them to.
Okay, I've got to get this right. So, on the table at the moment is the full grant, 3,500. I'll do this right. Do I have a proposer and a seconder for that?
I propose it.
Tom's proposing.
Second.
Dan's seconding. So we've got to throw on that first, then take it on after.
Yeah. Well, unless there's an amendment to that. So that's the first motion forward.
That's
So
the
if
first
everyone's got an amendment, which I propose in second, then you just work backwards. Yeah.
So I'll take that as the first one then, and then unless there's an amendment, somebody wants to make an amendment to that. Or I can do two separate votes on it.
Yeah, so if you want to do an amendment, you have to propose it, get a seconder, then we have a vote on your amended amount first. We have to have fiscal amount rather than just partial. And then that will go to vote, and if it passes, that's it, you get a vote on that amount. If that fails, then you go to the original motion, which is the full amount.
Okay, so I would propose an amendment that we do a, did we say there was about £1,000 shortfall?
It's about £700.
About 700. So I would propose that we drop by £700 to give them the vast majority of it. So
2,800 is what you're proposing, yeah?
Yeah.
Seconder for that proposal? Alan? I'll take Ali up too.
So we vote on the proposed amount first, and then whether that passes or fails, we'll go from there.
Right, so it's the 2,800 first, yeah?
That's
Right,
2,800
so,
first.
so we're voting on 2,800 first. Show of hands for paying them 2,800. 5. Those against? Abstentions? 3.
So that motion's carried now. So now you go to award Filton Brass Band £2,800. That's
So
the amendment.
now we're going to the vote for the award of £2,800 to Filton Brass Band. I'll have to need a proposal and a seconder for that again.
Because the original.
Yeah.
The original motions, but yeah. So it's a vote.
Just
and
gone.
then,
Yeah, vote. All right. Show of hands. Those against? Oh, all in favour? Okay, that's what we get. Thank you. So let's just change that to that figure. And the last one is Jiu-Jitsu. And they're asking for 5,000. The Mountain Person Insurance Council, 5,000.
Yeah.
Open for debate. Alex first.
I'd say it looks like a really positive application, and it's good to see they have a big presence in Filton. It's not just a location. Again, the skills they're teaching are very useful life skills. They're engaged, they have youth classes, they have classes with vulnerable people, teaching skills that are very, very useful for sort of vulnerable groups.
Any other comments? Alan?
Reading through their application, I thought we could only make grants to organisations. When it says in there, who do they make the cheque payable to? We've got an individual's name. I'm not happy with it being paid to an individual. I'm pretty sure I'm correctly saying that. We look through.
Because I've asked Adam for advice in the past, he says it can be awarded to a single person, but it is framed. There's nothing to say, I believe.
There's nothing legally saying we can. I was going to have fun like this.
So in that case, can we
Well,
ask that
we
they-
can't actually give, excuse me, Chair, sorry, we can't actually give an individual any money at all. You're not allowed to do that, even on power of confidence. But this is on behalf of an organisation. So if you were to grant it, we could do it subject to it being put into their community,
They'll have a check. They'll add something there, won't they?
yeah, their account. Yeah, so you could do that.
We'll explain that to him.
Yes.
Right, so we'll have to tell them, subject to them giving it, we'll do that, yeah? So it's not to the individual person, it would be to the,
As a group, they have to have
yeah,
the accounts anyway, because they're part of
That's
the
right.
national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's just a confusion.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably the treasurer, so signature or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions, please? Okay, moving to the vote. Can I have a proposer and a seconder? Half of Filton Town Council, then.
Everyone proposed it, it just carried.
Yeah. Okay, so your proposer and
Let's go for votes.
just go for the vote. All in favour of giving them £5,000, show of hands. That's unanimous. Right. We're going to call the colour guard back in first. If we do them first, then the brass band, and then Jiu-Jitsu. Please, sorry. You can imagine.
We were saying no, the kids came.
Yeah, that's good.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Or our nominated officer to say no to children.
What's that?
Show them the leg.
Yeah, where do you want to go?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Right, we've had a discussion. It's an interesting one. We've agreed to grant you the full £1,000.
Oh, what did you say, guys?
Thank you.
Also, someone's going to email you a regular letter tomorrow with some other things in there stating basically if you don't get your grant from somewhere else, you can always come back to us
Wow, that's very
Yeah,
good.
I think that's basically what it was, wasn't it?
Basically, yeah, so it'd be like an emergency grant, but we'll sort that out by email
That's
and then
amazing.
and we'll sort that out
Thank
for you.
you. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
Okay, can I take these guys home?
You can
now?
take it home now.
I've had enough of them. Thank you very much.
That's all right, no worries, my pleasure. Right, night. Gonna be late for school in the morning. Should you just blame Filton Town Council for keeping you up tonight?
Yeah, I'll give them your name, all right?
Not a problem.
No, they were, there, under
Okay, thank you very much for coming along. We've had a bit of debate and etc. What's been agreed is not the full amount, but 2,800.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we don't need to buy them all tomorrow.
Colin
Save
will-
up for some of the other ones.
Colin will sort out the checks and
Yeah,
stuff,
well,
yeah. I've got to sell that to the colour code as well.
Oh, that's fine. Simon's going to email me.
Yeah, we'll confirm by email tomorrow.
I'll check your account
Yeah.
details and
All
stuff before it gets issued.
I wasn't going to give these out before because it would have been like Brian. I have Christmas to cover that.
Well, I grew up
We
with
expect to be
silver.
blasted out all over Filton Town Council.
I grew up with silver.
That's obviously you've got a car.
Oh,
I'm
very
gonna
not
sit-
in my car
I'm going to sit in my mate's car and say, like, please.
Cars aren't being
Oh,
made,
okay.
city folk.
Yes.
It's completely up to you. You're more than welcome to stay.
Yeah, well, like say one, so you want to, yeah.
Thank you.
Right, last one. Get the last minute. But he's going to talk to check.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, Christmas.
She's got that Christmas carol.
Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, thanks for coming. Blew the house down. What he said was, it was us trying to find less. I know. It's scary, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you for replying. We've had a discussion and we've come to agree to pay the full amount of £5,000. But we cannot pay it to a single person. It must be an individual, because it's got something they want to pay it to a person.
Okay.
So it's got to be something.
Yes, it just has to be your official account. It just says to make it payable to the club treasurer.
Sure.
So if you could please just confirm what your actual club account is, then we'll get it sorted out today.
Okay, from what I understood, at the moment, the club accounts go through the club treasurer. So it's all set up, it's a separate account that he manages. But if necessary, I think we could set up, I don't know if it would be a business account or not, a business person. But it could be a separate account set up by the club, and then we just have to transfer, I guess.
We can wait for that. So it's not a problem. So it's now it's been awarded. So if you can confirm that, I'll confirm it tomorrow in writing.
Sure.
Then we'll be in contact backwards and forwards. But that's going to have to be rather than giving it to an individual. It gets very complicated for audit trails.
Sure.
If it has to go for an individual, it just messes it.
No,
Things
that's
up.
absolutely fine. If you, I don't mean to want to make plans, but if you just let me know what it is you need me to do,
Yep.
I'll make sure they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the moment.
We've got your contact details. We'll sort it.
At the moment, yeah, the club finance all goes through the treasurer, I know everything else have his sort of thing, rather than.
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
That's fair enough.
Well, should we move on?
Yes, okay, we're going to move on now, and I've just lost it. Yeah, there he is. Thank you for coming anyway, much appreciated. Well, you've been in contact, so you've got the grant, it's just getting the details to put it in.
Thank you very much, right?
No worries.
I'm
Thank you.
going to-
Okay, an update from the Faulkner on British Cycle Speedway update, please.
Yeah, that's me, I'm here. And Lucas is over there. Now, I need to give a bit of background on this, so some new faces, or is everybody familiar with what we've been talking about for the last few months?
Can we ask who Lucas is, please?
Sorry?
Can we ask who he is?
Yeah, sorry, Lucas is ex-world champion Super Speedway rider, who's willing to come down and give his time down here to help build the track back up again. So we'll say a few words in a moment.
Okay, no worries.
So, in case there's anybody else, there's one or two faces that may not have been here before. So what we're looking to do is what can we do about that track that's been sat out there idle for many years? And I know there's a question about what do we do with it. I came down, I think it was May, June, and presented some ideas and suggested that we could take forward those ideas and get certifications and what it would cost. So I did that. September, came down, gave a proposal that was developed by external company, Velo Solutions, as to what to create. And the cost of that was £105,000 to create what would be a very high class, good quality, multi-use community asset, called the multi-use short track. And then the two questions that really came out of that meeting were, one, I think it was Alex that raised it, could be a use case, and secondly, financing, who will chip in, how do we put the money together. But I think at the time, there was a unanimous view, I don't misrepresent you, for this is what we'd like to do as a concept. So on the use case, I'm glad they got copies, Carla, of that.
It was all emailed around, but I have got paper
Okay.
copies.
So for those that haven't seen it, what I've done subsequently, because this is moving away from just a cycle speedway track, it will be a cycle speedway track, but it'll also be a track for skating, for model car racing, for a range of other sports and activities, quite a wide range. So I went out to various organisations who could make use of this. I talked to them about the concept. I had overwhelming enthusiasm. I encouraged them to write me a letter. Some did, some said, great idea, and the letter never came. But there's quite a string of them there. So you'll find letters there, if you haven't read them yet, from Access Sport, which is about getting disabled people into sport, and particularly cycling. Big group here in Bristol, very keen for helping disadvantaged and disabled. The Model Car Racing Club was very enthusiastic about this because they don't have premises, they use car parks and so forth. So model car racing on the track we're describing for them would be fantastic because we have the ability to the audience, and they attract quite a crowd. I hadn't realised how big a sport it is, so they're pretty keen. Lucas here that I sort of partially introduced. Lucas, want to say a few words about yourself and what you do?
Obviously, I do cycle speedway. I've been doing the sport for 30 years, more or less. Originally, I came over from Poland in 2002. It was actually cycle speedway that brought me over to the UK. I settled in Oxford, then I moved about to different clubs. So I came across Filton track when I moved over to Cheltenham in 2013. So this is actually the closest track to my home address. So I'll come here, train after work, Wednesday, Thursdays afternoons. But obviously, the track didn't offer a good training facility because of the state of the shale. Very often after rainfalls, it would be very, very rutted and basically not very safe to use. And because of that, I just stopped coming over here. But this would be a very, very good place to introduce the sport to Bristol. Because Bristol is used to be very, very big for the sport. So I think there's still people about interested to kind of to see the sport going back to Bristol, and if I can help in any ways, I'll be able to come over at least once a week and do a coaching session and present myself and actually train with people because I'm still competing, so you be able to train with me. It's a good thing.
to be very modest, is the ex-world champion several times over and Beck's champion as well. So he is at the top of the sport. So we're lucky to have him in the vicinity. The Cycle Speedway is an anchor tenant of this, but it's not the only tenant. And that's important. We're not resurrecting this as it was. We're resurrecting something quite different. So Motor Car Racing, Cycle Speedway Access Sport for Disadvantage. There's a letter there from Bristol University, actually, Professor Spottiswoode, who picked up on this and got in contact with me. She's a keen cyclist as it happens, but very enthusiastic about this for mental health, well-being, and all that sort of thing. You can see her letter. There's Pedal Progression, which is a local group for getting kids on bikes, getting them going. They don't have a facility. They would do it in car parks and, you know, a bit of wasteland and so forth. So being able to come to something like this, the Filton group, would be great. There's not a letter from them, but Face Group, who you're probably familiar with locally. I had a good chat with Helen at Face Group. Pretty keen to say something like this could get the kids down because it's safe, it's contained, it's fenced in effectively, so you can see what's going on everywhere rather than letting them loose, which is one of the advantages. East Newport Cycle Speedway Club, which is the nearest adjacent club, throw their weight behind this actually because they want local competition. So they will come over and once or twice a week again alongside Lucas and help set this up and establish it as a working facility. There's Wormley Wheelers, they're enthusiastic. And skating group, it's not there actually, but roller skating or roller blading, I think is the correct term. Again, they've not formed a proper team because there's nowhere to go. But rollerblade, that'd be perfect for rollerblade skating and racing on a track like this. You could do none of these things on shale track. And they have been tried with some of the other tracks around the country, as you probably know, Lucas as well, model car racing and others. It just ends up in a mess with the shale. So this gives it something much more substantial. And obviously day-to-day general use. So the idea, if I could just recap, was that this would be available for a modest fee for clubs to use it exclusively for their events, but all other times open to the public, which I guess would be most of the time in reality. Now, schools, I didn't approach schools because, to be frank, it's quite difficult for me to do that, and particularly during the holiday period, that really needs a council effort. But there are a number of clubs around the country that have really engaged schools. And if you've got 2 minutes, have you got that? YouTube. We've got time, it's worth seeing this actually. So this is one school, it happens to be in Fife actually, and there's one enthusiastic individual that does this. He won a prize, it's a slightly different context. It gives you a feel.
I'm Craig Masson and I'm the lead for Fife Cycle Speedway. I introduced the sport to Fife in 2012 and from that we managed to get it into a number of high schools across the region. And it's just taken off. It's caught the imagination of everybody to the point where we utilised a piece of land in the school grounds to construct a track and created Fife Cycle Speedway in 2016.
I've known Craig a lot longer than before the Speedway. He was actually my stepson's guidance teacher at the school, and what he's doing here is absolutely fantastic. He doesn't take all the credit because he's like, I'm just doing what I'm doing. But he doesn't actually know how much impact this has on the younger children and obviously adults as well, and people in the community.
Keep your feet on the table, man. It's really good. I came, 2017 when I started. Craig taught me after, and ever since he just taken me underneath his wing. And, I'm kind of following his footsteps and coaching as well. It's really good. He just tells you what it is and tries to help you get better whatever way you can. Everything you want in a coach, really.
I love the sport, Cycle Speedway, and just seeing the enjoyment on kids' faces.
Right, remember, just shoulder it first.
I'm over the moon to be the winner for this award. I'm just doing my normal routine each club night. We're managing to get a lot of people involved in the sport. We're managing to create a good ethos in the club, focusing on fun, and that's helping to attract people to the club. So yeah, it's been my wildest dreams to be nominated for this award and the winner.
So that's a sports Scotland award, but it just gives you a feel. So he's got a whole range of schools involved in school competitions. The same happens around the Ipswich area, and various other areas around the UK. So it could easily happen here, clearly. It does need somebody to pick it up and run with it. We think we've got some of these people, we probably need more, but there's a sort of latent pool of talent around in the Filton and the Bristol area that I'm sure will come forward in that nature of the city. So that's the sort of, if you like, the use case. Hopefully that sort of answers that. This could be widely used. So moving on, if that's okay, to the financial side. So the quotation last time round was 105k, excluding VAT. And the funding positions we've got today, as I stand here, is there's 35k potentially available from the charity. I'll give you the number, you can look it up, it's 1182146. It's about supporting two things. One is rewilding, and the second one is getting children into sport, and getting disadvantaged children particularly, or those from disadvantaged backgrounds, into sport, and cycling is one of these. So there's 35k available, subject to the other funding, of course. We've been in discussion, a lot of discussion with British Cycling. We're very supportive of this. You've got a letter there from the CEO of British Cycling giving you support for this. So, and the National Facilities Manager, Manus Tweeney, is right behind it. So they recognise this is a different model, frankly, than what we've had. This is the first example of it. And when we looked around, I mentioned the last time, it all attracts the UK to say, where could we apply this model with a different surface that could be used for multi-purposes and be less of a track for a relatively small team of youth in South Speedway, to be a multi-purpose facility for the community and for a range of activities. This was the one that we felt by a country mile, to be frank, that was the best place to do that, because it was well built in the first place, and so needs to go out to Cycling City. It's got a good local population of people in Filton and surrounding areas that come and use it. So whole host of reasons why this is the one that we really like to do. Now, from British Cycling's point of view, they don't have any direct funds. Their funds only come from UK Sport and from Sport England. UK Sport's all about getting medals, frankly, in the Olympics. So that's that. Sport England are the other funder, and that comes in patches. So at the moment, there's a fund available which is maximum 15k plus 15k crowdfunding. So I've put an application in on that. I spoke to them again this morning. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but let's say they've been in touch, their capital projects manager has been in touch with British Cycling, and there's positive language around that. Yeah. So, but of course, that application, to be successful, and personally I think it would be, ought to be in the name of the town council. Yeah. For a whole host of reasons. A, it's going to be your asset, you get the asset, and B, you get the VAT refund, which neither the charity nor British Cycling would be able to get. I think British Cycling can get back about 10% actually, but you get back a lot, I would have thought. So we're looking at 35k, 15k from Sport England, we get it. And it will essentially be from yourselves effectively. So the name on that application will simply change, and I can provide you the details. To do that, there's no mechanics involved other than an agreement that you want to do that. And then there's the 15k potential match funding. And I'll come back to that because that's a bit of a tricky one. So that leaves, round about 55k or thereabouts. So from your point of view, and obviously you're well capable of doing your own business case, but looking at what's out there and just getting somebody who knows a bit about it, and say, what would it take to restore that parkland, for example? That's going to be about 25 grand. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on what you choose to do. But it's not trivial to remove all that earth, relay it, clear it all out, and restore it, if you eventually did that. If you were, if you had random figures, but useful, 10 clubs using it, 10 hours a week. So that's not a lot, but 10 hours a week, that's pretty modest. And let's say it's £10 an hour, which is your income. That's 5k a year. So you've got to pay back in 10 years. not the DCF, but it's a PP roughly. Of course, if it's 20 hours, that's 5 years. So there's a bit of a scheme coming in as well. Then you've got 55k, say, ugly, 25k avoidance, maybe around 50k over whatever years you want to assume on that. And of course, you've got an asset. It's got good value. So that's the way it looks. And of course, there'll be income to this place here because events will be held here. And there's no other capping facilities within Miles. So we've got a captive audience for the capping, the food facilities. All of that would be a big boost, I think, to this centre. The only thing that would be an extra cost to get it up and running over the 105k is it will need storage for bikes and other facilities, some storage, some secure storage, and it will need the bikes. And to be frank, my thought was that 15k crowdfunded would be better kept for that, for getting bikes and getting facility and getting ancillary kit, rather than just being a 50k contribution to the capital programme. I can't see the public getting enthused about doing that. But they may be. Sport England said they've never failed to get the crowdfunding money, because I was a bit reticent, to be frank. I said, you know, you're going to be asking the residents of Filton in the area, put their hands in their pockets to create a facility. I can't see that getting them very excited, especially when it's a modest amount of the total. But they may get more interested and excited about getting junior bikes and balance bikes and three-wheelers as well, actually, or skates, or roller skates, or hoverboards, as the other one somebody came up with. So all that sort of stuff. But finding some storage would be appropriate. We talked about that. It's still there. That shed you've got out there that's, I think, was condemned. Leslie told me, but I'm sure it could be restored for storage purposes. So that's where we're at, and it's a moment in time, to be frank. So, what do you want to do?
I'm going to check into councillors' questions, which. Alan.
Just an observation, basically. I think for all the hard work that you've put in, and we've been debating this for long enough, I would propose that we go ahead with it.
So I have a proposal from Alan that we go ahead with this. Could I have a seconder? Alex? Alex, seconder. Any questions before we go to the vote?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, could we try and do something about finding out about potential usage by schools, what the interest would be there? So you said you hadn't gone out to schools, perhaps could we do something to try and investigate?
Well, we can do.
Yeah.
What local schools would be, you know?
Yeah, we need to move on
To be frank, I think we find we don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, especially if they were perhaps considering developing some sort of multi-use facility
Yeah.
on their grounds, then, you know, if they knew that we were considering that, then that might be a way.
I think the key, talking to the other scientific areas that have done it, you get a champion like the chap we saw there who's exceptional. But there are in other stadiums around the UK, there's a PE teacher or something like that, you know, that says, I'm into cycling, I'm into doing it, I'm going to get the schools together, and I'm going to run a school competition. Does that guy exist in the area? Probably.
John?
Probably.
So it's a question for Chair or Clerk. So are we discussing to put this in the next budget? Is that what we're looking at? Because I'm just aware that we've agreed to build or to upgrade a skate park, but we haven't moved on from that. So I'm just trying to, before I vote, understand what we're actually voting to do.
Well, I'm going to ask Alan to clarify that in a second. I'm going to go back to Alex, then I'll come to you. Alex, unless you're going to clarify that.
That's what I was going to do. So
Tom.
my general comments are that basically in saying taking this forward, what I would be personally expecting was that the clerk would begin to, and the office would begin to engage itself, follow up on those funding opportunities, start to bring together an action plan of what we need to do, and we look to earmark the 55,000 within next year's budget, or if we think it's going to take over a year, whether that gets split at all. So we would be looking to earmark funds to make up that shortfall from the fund, shortfall's the wrong word, match for the funding within our budget.
Is your financial year the calendar year or the
tax year?
Tax year, okay.
Tom?
I agree with virtually everything Alex has just said, so I'm not going to bother repeating it. But one thing I did want to point out is not only because it's a lot of money, but if it's only 55,000, we do have a rolling capital projects budget every year of 100,000, and I'm not sure we've spent very much of that this year. Not that we would use this year's money, but it's not that there isn't any money available for this.
What would be good, a couple of things worth mentioning. One is the supplier. I don't know quite what triggers you into competitive tendering, but the general view of recycling of myself actually is that the obvious company is the company that did the work. And so, if you went up to tender or got some council contractors to do it, you wouldn't get the same job. This is a very specialised task, so I'm hoping that you'd be in a position, because you'd be the lead contractor, to be able to avoid an unnecessary competitive tender with all that entails.
Alan?
Basically, picking up on that point, I think we need to move tonight and we need to move ASAP.
I'm going to ask, what is your proposal then, please?
That we move as fast as we possibly can, basically. Because I think otherwise we're going to get caught with rising costs, and the quotes that we've had so far will only increase. And we could find ourselves halfway through a project if we delay that we can no longer afford. So let's go ahead.
Would you like to put some dates on it? Because we've done this before, we've said as quick as possible, but I think we're still waiting 3 years later after that for the
Alex was to
track to be done. Alex and Julie.
Just to build on what Alan's saying, I don't think we can put an arbitrary date on that. We're setting ourselves up to fail. I would ask that perhaps at the next meeting, if the clerk believes that whatever the timescales are, I'll defer to the clerk, but the action plan will tell us how quickly we can move. We ask the clerk to go away, investigate, tell us what those timescales are, because there's no point in us saying February, that's either ridiculously long or ridiculously short.
I'm happy with that, but what I don't want it to do is do exactly
Drag on,
what we done with the skate park. We're still looking at 2-3 years later down the road.
Can I make a suggestion? I've got the indication that the charity can make money available pretty much straight away. So that could allow the work to start. That money would be granted to you, I think, obviously the prime contractor. So that work could start on 35K's work. Sport England would, they have a meeting every month, and they indicated this would be on the agenda for the next month, providing we revert it to your name. So effectively, you don't have the money to start spending. The project will take some time. So I would suggest, and obviously the supplier will have a lead time anyway. He's not going to snap tomorrow.
No.
So I suspect which financial year it falls in or doesn't will sort itself out. And I take your point. If we just get on with it, you get 55K in the kitty to sort of start, it will just happen. Even if there ends up being a delay as you wait till end of March, which I think is unlikely, it'll all come out of the wash.
Okay. Julie, do you want to?
Yeah, I totally agree that at the moment the facility isn't usable as it should be, and so something does need to be done. But I just think we ought to explore, or at least ask local schools, local community to try and get see what usage there might be, because what we don't want to be seen is investing money in what might be a niche, a white elephant, if you like,
I'm going to read for about Alex, because if I could go on Alex, back to schools.
Again, I think, we've got the letters of support showing the intent. There's a little bit of chicken and egg. You'll never quite know until you do. And I think, again, the amount of time it could take to engage, we have tried to engage with schools. You can sometimes, but it can be a slow progress. That's no criticism to the schools. They've got an awful lot on their plate. I'm happy to word a proposal based on what self and Alan have discussed if people are happy.
John, then I'm going to go to the town clerk, and then that will be the end of it, and we'll go to the vote.
Just really quickly picking up from Julie, what was the name of the group? The cycling group that don't have anywhere to go? You said you didn't have a letter, but...
Warmly Wheelers, you said, didn't you? Was it Warmly?
The children's group that do the cycling.
And, I think there's the Warmly Wheelers and the pedal progression.
So pedal progression, I'm assuming, is what replaced the schools doing cycling proficiency. Because they don't do
I think they do a range of stuff, to be frank.
So that would be the group.
If you've got the letter there, it outlines
Yeah,
exactly what they.
It's here,
it's one of those.
I was just going to say it's I can't say it.
They're a
That
commercial organisation, actually.
But they're the ones providing the local youth with.
There are others, there's a mother toddler group that wants to get involved as well.
Going to go to the town clerk because we're going to have to move this on rapidly. Time.
Yeah. No, I say I think we could at least get for the next meeting at the beginning of December a good outline of what's going to go on. And chances are, once we start making this sort of thing public, then the things like schools will start picking up on it. And the group you mentioned, once we start putting that work together on press releases and that sort of thing, that would generate interest in itself, I imagine. And if you said about the broad area where this track could cover, there'd be some interest, I would have thought, in the industry or the sector.
I think
So,
if you wanted to present to schools, we could do a presentation.
But I think we need to get the project scoped first,
exactly.
otherwise.
It's something that's in the air.
Yeah, exactly, and they won't
May
want
not
that.
happen,
They won't
all
want
that
that. Yeah, exactly. So we'll work on it.
So then, Alan, once again, bung it through, and I'll get a second hopefully, and then we'll start.
I really like Alex to be effective, but basically the proposal is that we go away and we start rolling, we make sure that the finances are there, and we make contact with the individual organisations that we can and say that we are applying for the grant. And we can then publicise that locally and say we're gone ahead, we're making this investment, we're going to get our hands on approximately £55,000 to start with to get the work moving. So the firm opinion, if we don't, we will lose it. And it will just stay and it will become an eyesore.
Seconder, sorry, I was just going to move this on. Seconder, Alex, can we have a vote? All in favour, show of hands, please. That is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Sorry for stopping, mate, but we've got a long night.
So, do I pick up with an individual yourself?
Yeah, I've got your email, so I'll email you.
You've got me now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we get going, have a world championship here.
Well, forward.
I was going to say, on that note,
a few young lads that might be.
on that note, when we used to have cycles we were here, we had 2 Polish riders ride for us.
Yes, Pablo and.
Yeah, they both used to ride for us, so.
Right, should we crack on?
Yes, we need to crack on. It's Derek next.
That's it, number 10.
Yeah, Derek with the budget. Sorry, mate. I just sort of jumped in.
All right, Chair. Nice to be with you. Thank you for waiting for me. You all have the budget papers. The proposal is an unchanged precept. We are still working towards building the fund for contingencies for the outsourcing, but pretty much everything is there. I will obviously answer questions to the best of my ability.
Alex.
Could we see, so our finances look very healthy, which is good to see, and our reserves building very well. It's very positive to see given where the council was not too long ago. And those with memories will understand some of that situation came about through years of freezing the council tax and small increases. And we are obviously still, right now, still reliant on contract with Active Nation to make sure we build those reserves. I'd be interested in seeing a proposal which increased in line with the sort of RPI index and standard inflation level, just so that we can see what that would be. So we can understand, so say again, I have a memory that this council got itself into some difficult financial situations by freezing council tax for long periods of time and not looking forward. And we were then left in a very difficult situation where we had to make a very high 1-year increase, and I would not want to ever see that again.
Tom?
Two questions, if I may, Chair. One is under capital. We've got the rolling capital programme, that's fine. We have discussed a redevelopment of the skate park, which will probably be over a number of years. Do we need to start including a figure in here for that as well as an earmarked figure? Because that's something I don't see in there. I don't think it's covered by our rolling capital programme because it won't be an in-year spend. And my second question
kind of comes back to what Alex said. It's great that we're in such a healthy financial position. I just wanted to know what accommodation's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the best word I've got, you've made for inflation in things like energy costs, and also, as we're discussing later, the increase in our staffing costs that will come from a local government pay increase.
All that is catered for, it's all funded into the calculations. We have allowed for a 5% salary increase for next year. We have costed in the cost of the national insurance rise, which costs us not much because we have very few employees now.
Indeed.
If we had the whole payroll for the centre, it would be a different kettle of fish. As far as the rolling capital fund is concerned, that money goes into a pot and is available for any project that you resolve to carry out, including the cycle speedway. You know, the whole point of that fund is it's available based on the decisions you make when you make them to commence a project.
Alex?
Can I just query, and I'll be very careful because obviously the details of it will be discussed in closed session. Does this budget account for the office discussions that have been had and will be had later on?
Yes.
That's fine, thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Alan.
Yeah, I too have been thinking along the same lines as Alex. I believe that we should raise presets, possibly in line with inflation, or a minimum of 1%. I don't want to see us caught out again. Also, I would also like to know the loss of properties that will no longer be paying council tax to us. Has that been factored in?
We don't have that information yet.
So we don't quite know how many properties potentially within the next 12 months we're going to. Can we just take it as it will probably be roughly the same as we've already lost this year? Because if we look back over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been losing quite a number of properties that no longer will be paying council tax. And I would have thought that we should be looking to try and replace those funds. I know we're saying that we've had other savings in other areas, but I believe that the loss of those properties, it's long-term. And that's a long-term impact upon us.
There are a couple of factors there. We are totally dependent on the tax-based information provided by South Gloss. Our precept is a monetary demand for a set sum. If that set sum is collected from fewer properties, that inevitably means an increase per property. We have no control over that. We have no control over the calculation. We have no input or influence on the way it's calculated. That is totally in South Gloss's purview. In terms of allowing for inflation, I don't have a problem with that. I think if you're going to go down that route, you need to establish whether you're talking RPI or CPI and at what date. Now, national non-domestic rate increases by CPI at September each year. Probably as good a basis as any, and at least it's a piece of information we have to get in order to work out our rates budget. So that would be a way, but decide how you're going to calculate the inflation and stick with it, would be my advice.
Thank you. Town Clerk wants to say something, then I'll come to Alex.
Councillor first.
Go on.
The only other question I wanted to just check whether was included in this budget. So over the, I've lost my notes. During the last year, we had a proposal which increased and change the way the youth funding was carried out. So rather than 17,000 grant, we wanted to look at 25,000, potentially 25,000 tender. So whether that increase has been accounted for, and I've fortunately forgotten that question very usefully. If you can just answer that, has that been accounted for?
No. Was it?
I thought it had, but I could be wrong.
We have to double check. I don't think so, because I think they haven't approached, when I spoke to the face lady at Leslie's leaving reception, she was going to correspond with me about it, and they haven't. So I've not seen any official figures about it. So we could factor it in as a possible, but whether that 25,000 was the initial discussion, and it may increase. That's the trouble without seeing it in writing. But you have got a fair amount of generous reserve. So we could possibly move something around and reallocate something in the budget during the year. It's not ideal, it's not great, but I mean, you could do if you had that understanding that you were going to go into that contract. But as far as I'm aware, we haven't got, there's been no tender specified for it. We haven't asked for the services yet. We haven't got down to the detail of it, which is going to be quite a big discussion, I would have thought.
And sorry, my second question was just, again, have we budgeted for the agreement from the council to provide for the reduction in library hours coming from South Gloucester? So we agreed to budget for that.
Yes, interesting. I had an email correspondence today with the library department, and I'm waiting for them to come back with the billing and how often that's going to be and when that's going to be. So I don't think it's going to be in this financial year or the next one. I think it's rolling. I think it's good for 5 years, isn't it? But it's like 3,500, something like that, for 2 hours on a Monday afternoon. And so we're waiting to see if that comes in. But yes, that'd be part of your
Julian?
In answer to your previous question, there is room within the budget to accommodate things like you've mentioned.
Julie?
Thanks. Alex covered the question I was going to ask about the library. The only other thing I was going to ask was, at various times in previous meetings, we've talked about community fund. Apologies if it's just I'm not seeing that. Is that covered in somewhere there?
Yeah. So you've got £20,000 already allocated in my reserves. And I think that's going to go in for the next couple of years. That's been a regular thing. So it'll be up for, which I think Councillor Bird and I have been talking about. So it is down already as a marked reserve, and it will go down forward. So it'll be 40 next year. If we haven't spent it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
can I say, sorry?
Yeah, go
yeah, it's just to go on to the point that, thank you, Derek, for putting all the effort, you put a lot of effort the other day for trying to bring all this together. And we've had to go through all the costs as far as we know it. Just going on to the point that Councillor Dora made about the forward projection, and we're speaking to Derek about it, we're hoping to get the projection sorted. And about the earmark reserves. Well, we've got a rolling fund, and it's been explained to me why you've got this general, and I understand there's a wider theme that we perhaps want to break it down, but it can't just break it down. We need a discussion about it. And later on in the agenda, you'll notice we've got a working party for the accounts, which is what I envisage that group will do. So you got the budget this evening, Derek put it together, you've got all the hard work there. Going back to the point Councillor Bird made, we won't know until South Gloucester confirmed to me the other day by correspondence. It'll be around about the 10th of December, they will know, what they're going to tell us, sorry, they're going to tell us. So we won't know until then. And as Derek quite rightly said, you could set the same amount, but if the house numbers drop down, then potentially the house council tax go up, or if it goes the other way, as in more people are eligible to pay, it'd be the same budget, but the council tax will drop automatically. So it's a little bit complicated. So if you would rather, and it's up to the council, you just note this for now, and then we come back after we got all this together in January. Now Derek's explained it, and you take your question off. If there's any more questions, you can fire it to myself and Derek, and we will answer them for you. And then when we got to January's meeting, because we got usually until, although legally it's a bit later, but normally South Gloucestershire like it by the end of January, January 31st, which gives more than enough time in the, I don't know, 10th of January meeting to discuss, decide, approve, and move on from there, if that's what you would like.
Up to you, councillors.
Yes,
I have no objection.
You happy with that? I'm not going to take a vote on it, but if you're happy with that, that's magic. Thank you, question.
So broadly speaking, are you happy with, as Derek said, you kept the amount, so the precept, that's the amount the council tax is going to pay. Are you happy with that amount as a whole, no matter what the impact is at the moment on the council taxpayer?
Or do you want to increase it by?
Or do you want to increase it?
CPI and
Yes.
September?
Yes.
I would like to at least see the option to increase by.
Okay, so let's wait to January for that. It takes a bit of work to
We'll
do.
give you the alternative.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm inclined to agree with Alex and Alan. We want you to increase it.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Derek.
My pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. I'm heading up the ribbon to Sweden. Yeah, I mean, I won't be until the afternoon.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
In the moment, we have 20 minutes left.
Yeah, you can go much on fast.
So we might change a few things up, so we can note some things.
We could go for resolution at past 9 o'clock, but it's not ideal.
Well, the staff is only getting it to 9 o'clock. So we're going to have them working after 9 o'clock. They're gonna get
Okay,
paid.
crack on. Number 11.
Number 11, payments for information. So we just have that noted, no questions. Any questions on that, please email Simon tomorrow. Incoming expenditure reports, month 6. Same thing there, please pass on to Simon tomorrow, so we note in. Balance sheet, month 6. Noted, thank you. Bank reconciliation, we've got the budget this time, month 6. Thank you, noted. Right, established working group on future accounts. Can we put that across to the next meeting?
Well,
I'm asking councillors.
I was just going to suggest we have a budget group, and we simply allocate that to the accounts.
Yeah.
It's a working group.
I was going to suggest that because it's just that if you leave to the next meeting, by the time Christmas, everything else, you want to make your January meeting. So
we have a budget group, which is, they know who they are, that's one. And we normally meet after staffing.
Yeah, but I mean, I think possibly next beginning of December may be a bit late for this. So I was going to suggest if you've got availability, other than the 26th, which is the next full council meeting, either Tuesday, either beside of that. So next Tuesday or the one after, that was probably when it is. But that would be better to crack on, at least get some ideas on this.
Next Tuesday's planning.
Should we go to planning?
I've got neighbourhood plan goes before.
Oh yeah, you've got some
so it
stuff on
depends.
there. So we'll pick on the Tuesday.
Tuesday the 3rd I can do.
Oh, may have to, yeah, beginning of January, yeah.
Or we could do it, is there anything set before full council?
We could do it before full council if you like, or we could do it another night. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but it's just I know you traditionally like doing it on Tuesdays, but you could do it another night if you want to. I'm happy with that.
I'm happy to, Thursday's usually quite a good night for me.
Thursday works for me.
So which one's that?
Thursday works for me.
Thursday. Should we start for next Thursday?
On budget. Next Thursday. You've got branch next Thursday.
We can't do next Thursday, probably not great, but
Oh.
another Thursday, the Thursday after.
The 28th.
28th.
I'll see if I can make it. I think I'm working.
And is 6:30 okay for everyone? 6, 7?
6 is too early.
6:30?
Yeah.
6:30, 7ish, that sort of time. It's a working group, so there's no hard and fast.
Okay, on that note, we're going to say goodbye to the public. Thank you for coming. I'm going to switch off our little thingamajig because we're now going to confidential. Thank you for turning up. So nice to see you.